Alright, so let's continue to cruise along. We are about to finish Season 2. And in order to do that, we are going to... Oh, ooh, I forgot, can't glide. We're going to exit the packed staging area here, where they're getting ready to attack Mordermoth. And that is, in fact, exactly what they are about to do. We see the airships getting ready, and we got Logan and Zoja and Air and stuff here. They're going to go fight Mordermoth. We, thanks to an ancient ritual where we kind of hung out with Chariasa for a little bit, we have now gained the ability to open the secret door that Wynn went through, and that should allow us to see to use the final memory seed and see that last memory. Um, oh, look at that. They're doing Vinerath. And in doing so, hopefully track down Caithe and recover the egg, right? So for us, the highest priority right now is to recover the egg, because we have reason to believe it's not only important to the fight against Mordermoth, but maybe to the fight against all the dragons, right? We've had some dialogue suggesting that. But everyone else on their way to fight Mordermoth. Wonder if they're like adequately manned for this. Oh, well. We're not going to take the time for it. After all, secret cave is waiting, right? Is someone actually doing this? Or are these just a bunch of NPCs fighting? Nah, it's just a bunch of NPCs.
Looks like somebody's been here recently.
So this is where we're planting the last seed.
Caithe was in here years ago, so it's as good a place as any.
The boss's last memory vision showed Wynn running into here. Caithe and Fowling were right behind her. If this place is of any importance, maybe we'll find something that will lead us to her. Okay, boss. Would you like to do the honors?
Sure. Good job, by the way, Marjorie. Note that she was at the attack on the staging camp there. It's nice to see that she managed to protect the Divine Fire from going out. Like, because we did see her there, right? Was she there? Maybe she wasn't there. I hope she wasn't there. I thought I saw her there, though. Under any circumstances, what are we going to do with this? We're going to wave it around and hope something happens. Do you think we'll be attacked? Always a chance. I saw Mordrum stirring to the north, closer than I'm comfortable with. They might be following us. Alright, well,
Do your thing.
keep an eye open, I guess. I'm gonna try to open up this cave here. Oh no, we are in fact getting attacked. Look at that, all kinds of Mordrum back there, and as usual, the NPCs are gonna let them through. I do have a pet, though. The pet's actually probably going to kill it. Yeah, look at that. Good job, Gazelle.
What's happening?
Okay, so the Mordrum are actually fleeing. Like, whatever happened here, they're not fans. Hey, Marjorie. Hey, the next story step is talk to you. You wanna come back and join us at the door? Like, remember, this door was kind of our thing, right? Look at Rox, Bram, Casimir. Everyone's running off. All right, can we do things now? As soon as you completed the ritual with the divine fire, the Mordrum got spooked and ran off, like it was warding him off. All right, Rox, can you carry the flame?
I guess some spells take.
Where's Rox? Oh, we threw it all the way over there.
Thanks for opening the cave for us.
Nice.
Come on, boss. Let's see what's inside.
Let's do that.
All right. I wasn't expecting that.
I'll light the way. Stay close.
Right, because you have a torch. We literally just gave you a magic torch. So by all means, light the way. So no Mordrum, but we're not without problems here. We got cave spiders. I suppose it makes sense though, right?
Half
It is a
the
cave.
system knows we're here by now.
Well, were we supposed to be using stealth? You know, like Casimir's a mesmer. Maybe she had like mass invisibility. But yeah, we're running around with a torch. So yeah, Marjorie.
What are these things?
Whatever it is, kill it.
So these should look familiar because we saw basically the same thing when we were going through the ritual to get the divine fire, right? And in fact, these are duplications of the enemies that you actually encounter during that ritual in the first Guild Wars game. So they've inserted them here as well to kind of represent that this was an area utilized by the Forgotten and protected by Forgotten magic. Not that the magic's been forgotten, but that it was magic belonging to the race referred to as the Forgotten.
Feel the fury.
It's a weird noise in the background. Right, like it's normally the noise they would use for like a stone rolling to the side or like a stone door opening or something. I don't know if like the sound file's stuck on repeat or if that's intended to be the sound that this cave makes. I genuinely don't remember. I don't remember if previous times that I've played through this it has that sound or not. The fact that it played through that cutscene leads me to believe that it's just a sound file that's stuck on repeat. So I will say, my first time in here, I thought this was, like, amazing.
Oh, what is this place? Boss, didn't you say there was a golden location in your vision? Does it feel like this is the place to plant the final seed? What's your intuition telling you?
It's telling me to come over here and have a beer, because there are some stools and some steins. Feels odd to find something as mundane as a stool and an ale mug. That's reasonable. Oh, we got another thing here. So I always have my settings to where stuff like this, like, has the text visible. Obviously that's a setting, but I find it helpful both when I'm playing for myself and for something like this. In scarlet color warns away animals and adventurers who might stray too close to this bristleburn plant. Its prick is renowned for causing the most excruciating pain. Wow. Well, that's... Oh, also, proximity strong memory. We're really close. Oh, sleeping bag. Right next to the memory location. Nothing could seem more out of place here than a sleeping sack. There's nothing ancient about it. Someone has been here recently. There's no... Okay, so... Alright. That's fine, except that the cave was sealed. So I guess we're assuming that this person, I don't know, has some method other than the divine fire for bypassing that seal, I guess. I don't know. Let's plant the seed. Let's see if we can gain some insight on Caithe and what she might be doing.
You're not leaving until you tell me the truth. Why? Why are you doing this?
Because I need to know. We need to know. Tell me what you and Mother were talking about that day.
Fallon, this isn't necessary. Please, Fallon, stop this. Please. I promised our mother I wouldn't tell anyone. Please. Let's go talk to her.
I'll make you wish you'd never left the dream, traitor.
Okay. So much like Timey's frightened animation, we now get the same thing out of Wynn, and it's pretty convincing. I mean, honestly, like Wynn looks like she's having a real rough time over here. I mean, jeez, wow. And Fallon not only like is very adamant and aggressive about this. I mean, like really aggressive, but seems to be almost enjoying it as well. Wynn, Caithe, I swore to Mother. So look at what a what Caithe really. So I think what we're supposed to take from this, by the way, instead of just bashing Caithe, who I think is a crap character, is that Fallon holds a significant amount of influence over Caithe. Fallon does show herself to be extremely manipulative, and they are lovers, right? So I think we are to perceive that Fallon holds this kind of influence over Caithe, that Caithe will tell Wynn to just give in to this sort of abuse, so that we can all go home. All right. She's betraying us all, Caithe. It's as clear as the tears on her face. Maybe this has gone far enough. Like, Caithe is really weak. She's a weak person. She's a garbage person. It hasn't gone nearly far enough. Maybe pain will make her talk. I saw a bristleburn plant on the way in. Watch her, Caithe. Fallon is going to torture Wynn. And Caithe's response, Wynn, please, I'm tired. I just want to go back to the Grove. So yeah, there's really, if there was any leading up to this point, if there was any redemption for Caithe as far as like taking the egg and stuff, in my mind, not in the story, because ArenaNet is ArenaNet, they'll ultimately give Caithe some sort of redemption, which I find gross. But for me, if there was any redemption for Caithe to be found up until this point, it's gone. Like, Fallon literally said, hey, Wynn, actually said it to us, Caithe, I'm going to torture her to get what we need. And our reaction to that is to tell Wynn, I'm tired and I want to go home. Please just tell her. So, Caithe, and I was about to say we because we're playing as Caithe right now, but this isn't the player character. It's not the commander. We're looking into the past of Caithe. One of the quote-unquote heroes and your mentor, if you're Savari, is really just about the biggest piece of trash. I mean, she 100% would qualify as a villain here, and is aiding a villain whom we know to be one of the major villains in the game. But it's okay because she's also in Destiny's Edge, right? The centaurs didn't have to die, which is true. You must see that she's going too far this time, don't you? She's dragging you along with her. I need time to think. I don't know. The fact that we need to think about this does not reflect well on us. So apparently we're taking our time to think. When...
I can't tell her what she's asking for, Caithe. You've seen what Fallon's capable of. She massacred those centaurs.
They attacked first. She had to defend herself.
She struck first. He was unarmed.
No, I don't think
She'll torture me until I tell my secret. That will be the end of our kind.
The end of Savari. What do you mean?
We come from the jungle, dragon. We belong to it. We are meant to serve it. lying.
I saw it in my dream. And if Fallon knew, she wouldn't keep it a secret. She'd use it against Mother. When word got out, the world would see us as monsters. You know her. All she wants is power. Think. She will break me unless you kill me first. Fallon must never learn. Please, kill me now. She's coming. I will bear your pain, sister. Hurry.
What have you done? Did she talk?
No. Nothing of consequence.
Hey, boss. Caithe is here.
Alright. So we'll get to all that in a minute. I don't know if the dialogue with Caithe begins, whether we're there or not, so we better make sure we're there for it. And then if it doesn't, we can cover that whole cutscene real quick. Okay, so the cutscene. So I will say it's like a very compelling turn of the story. That Wynn realizes that so that secret, by the time that was presented to us in story, like it had been widely speculated on by the player community. Just the same, it was pretty huge. Keep in mind, like, there's a big chunk of the player community that, I think most players, even if they have a variety of characters from different races, like, tend to kind of associate with one of the races, right? And most folks tend to have a favorite. So there were plenty of people who were kind of Sylvari primary players who were kind of wondered what this meant for them and what it would mean for Heart of Thorns, the expansion that we speculated would be coming out by this time, and the announcement will come very shortly after this. So that information in of itself was quite powerful, and then you get what is honestly like a pretty good cutscene. But again, reflects exceptionally poorly on Caithe and how she's written. It's great for the story that she kills Wynn and chooses to bear Wynn's secret. Like, it's like great, like, melodrama. But it still, again, makes Caithe, in my mind, like, completely irredeemable, because she took the easy way out of, she killed Wynn instead of confronting Fallon. I get it. Wynn was like, kill me. Because if she tortures me, I'll reveal my secret. But Caithe still had at least two choices: kill Wynn or kill Fallon, and she chose to kill Wynn, someone who wasn't armed and who was obviously not in the wrong. Maybe she should or should not keep the secret. I don't know. There's another argument to be made there. There are certainly compelling arguments that Fallon is right on a lot of things. But at this particular moment, Fallon is very clearly a villain, and Caithe chose to side with the villain. So, again, like, really bad character. And if they wanted to make her that, that's fine. But redeeming her is, like, problematic at this point. And that's kind of what I'll have a lot of issues with later. Was that a memory seed I saw? It was. The Pale Tree gave it to me. Then you know what Wynn told me and what I did. What are you going to do? Tell me, is it true? Which part? Did I murder one of my fellow firstborn? Do we Sylvari come from the Elder Dragon? Yes, it is all true. So even Caithe refers to it as a murder here. Why was Wynn the only one who knew? She was one of the first of the Nightblooms, which Caithe is also a Nightbloom, right? When you critic Sylvari, you can choose to be a Nightbloom. It's one of 4 options. Her dream revealed it to her. I know now that she viewed protecting us from the truth as her wild hunt. So in a sense, Wynn ultimately achieved her wild hunt, sort of. right? Because Fallon did not, she took the secret to the grave, except for the problematic fact that she told Caithe. Does the Pale Tree know what happened with Wynn? Of course, she felt Wynn's death, and the dream revealed what had happened. I've never seen her so heartbroken. Over time, she forgave me, though I don't think she ever forgave Fallon. Okay. What is the difference between Caithe and Fallon? Where the Pale Tree would forgive one and not the other? There's kind of two possibilities. One is that Caithe feels some sort of remorse, and Fallon does not. But this was a secret until now, so I have a hard time buying that. The other is Caithe adheres to the Pale Tree's instructions, and Fallon does not. So again, we kind of have an indictment against all Sylvari culture right here. So what now? I know the secret too. Do you expect me to keep it to myself? It doesn't matter anymore. Good, because keeping it would be an indictment against the player character. The secret will come out on its own soon enough. Keeping the secret of the murder would be an indictment against the player character. Keeping the secret of the Mortarmoth thing is this right here. It'll come out soon enough. Already, Sylvari have been losing control of themselves. Mortarmoth won't stop there. Okay, so here's a valid question. Why did you bring the egg here? It reminds me how far I will go to protect my people. No, it doesn't, because you killed a helpless person instead of battling Fallon. So you won't actually go that far. That's a distortion on your part. It's a delusion. You clearly think much higher of yourself than you actually should. The egg is critical to our future. Well, that may be true. So why did you run off with it?
Protected. You and I are on the same side. Don't forget that, my friend.
So now we have confrontation between Caithe and the commander. Like that was a threat. Caithe is in my mind irredeemable. But we have other issues right now. Because we're being attacked by the, what was it, Shadow of the Dragon, I believe is what it's called. We've seen this twice, this creature. We saw it in the dream, if we're Sylvari, and then this is the creature that attacked the World Summit, right? It's been a minute since I've done this fight. I'm going to have to remember how this goes. Use the Divine Fire. Okay. Divine Fire. And a thing happened. Alright, so essentially what that is we're going to try and create a whole ring with that Divine Fire, right? And in doing so, make the dragon here vulnerable. But in order to do that, each time we got to grab this Divine Fire and bring it to one of these locations and then light the fire. Bram is actually supposed to be down here helping us, and I think he is. That's what that shield that's appearing is. But for some reason, like his asset is not appearing down here. The vines that we are seeing pop up, right? Where they meet each other is functions like a tripwire, and if we run across there, we will detonate those, and it'll do damage to us, and it'll be a problem for us. So we don't want to do that. See, now I'm doing one that he isn't actually shielding, so I'm having a little bit more issue there because where is he? Oh. Yeah, there he is. Why didn't that work? Why didn't skill 5 do hardly anything? Well, anyway, we got him down to 50% there, so that's good, I guess. Where is that? Wash, rinse, repeat. Oh no, boulders. So I struggle with like a lot of like AoEs or a lot of like different effects and stuff all at once. That's not good for me because I'm not very good at the game. So like getting those tendrils down wasn't just like a step for me. I gotta reduce like reducing mobs is always important for me because if I don't, then I'm gonna have a hard time. It's also why this Ranger Axe is nice, right? Because it allows me to hit multiple enemies with the bounce effect. So, all right. So he said he'd shield me, but I'm not on the one where he's shielding. So, making life harder for myself.
Here, take this.
Just the same, we got it, and we got more divine fire here. Is this gonna be the right one, Bram? You want to help me? Oh. Ah, yes. So an added mechanic here in the second phase. You see the smothering shadow there? He is going to... Oh, you know what? We can't harm him because we don't have the divine fire. So we grab the divine fire and then we can inflict damage on him. And that's what we need to do because if they reach these... these segments of the fiery ring that we're setting up, then they'll put that fire out. And it kind of just protracts the entire experience for us.
Time to do some real damage.
Alright. Maybe we'll have better luck targeting it this time. There we go. Oh man, Shadow the Dragon having a bad day. Alright. We completed it without any of the, without any of our little flames getting put out. I believe there's also an achievement for not tripping any of those little traps that I was talking about. However, I think I, like, spawned on one, like, almost spawned on top of one or something, like coming out of a cutscene and tripped one. Or maybe I just tripped it because I'm stupid. But I think I missed that achievement. Alright. Oh yeah, let's kill the Shadow of the Dragon. Bammo. Oh, little lights went out. Where it's, I guess, eyes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them, I guess.
Attacked the grove. You brought it down for good.
Yay, go team.
You were amazing. And now Tyria has one less dragon minion to worry about. The perfect warm-up to take down Mordremoth.
We won the battle, but we lost Caithe.
Yeah, she ran off again.
Fled during the attack.
I've had it with her secrets. I know my mother trusts her, but I don't. She took the egg, and we need to get it back.
We're out of memory seeds. Her guild knows her better than anyone. Destiny's Edge may have an idea of where she's gone.
We should hurry back to Camp Resolve. With everything we had to deal with here, the Pact Fleet may have already launched.
Okay, so I wanted to, be quiet for that whole cutscene thing there. Now I genuinely don't know why that is so quiet. I'm not sure why cutscenes are like frustratingly quiet on this account. But under any circumstances, it is a really good one, especially by ArenaNet standards. And it brings us to the end of uh, season 2, and this ominous portent basically just allows us to
Just one more confirmation.
see this.
The dragon is rising. And no one in Tyria is safe from its deadly reach. But we can break free from destiny. It will require strength, strategy, and insight.
You can't trust Sylvari. They belong to the dragon now. Stop treating us like monsters. We are not the enemy. We take the fight to Mortimer!
All right, as I was saying when I got interrupted, that item gives us the trailer. I think apparently you used it upon acquiring. I thought used it when you double clicked on it, so I was going to talk a little bit before that happened. And now it has happened. So we got two things: we got the cutscene, and then we got the trailer, right? To kind of wrap up season 2. So with the cutscene, what has happened? Well, um, the Pact fleet was annihilated. Like it's pretty simple there. We also have uh, we have stuff that will rightfully raise the question, and it's echoed again within the trailer as well, of what's happened to Destiny's Edge, right? Because 3 of the 5 accompanied the Pact fleet, and we saw the image in the cutscene of Logan dangling from the airship, which appears to be the Gloria Tyria, which was the one that we were on when we killed Caithe. Dangling from the edge of that airship, holding on to Caithe, who's dangling from his grasp, as air, is like, pointing down at this like wild angle and shooting her bow at something and so forth. So we get all that in the cutscene. That's no great mysteries there though. Like, okay, got it. Pact fleet destroyed, and thus we are in like a bad spot when it comes to the battle against Mordermoth, right? Then there's the trailer for Heart of Thorns, which does have a few interesting things. One, as much as I've talked about how I think Caithe is a really poor character, she is Sylvari, and the studio was obviously like very aware of the fact that Heart of Thorns was going to have a lot to do with Sylvari, and the community was going to be interested in what it meant for Sylvari. And so they chose to use Caithe there as the face for that trailer, which I think is an interesting choice. Now, clearly, like maybe I dislike her more than like some other people would. So part of that may be personal on my part, but just same, I do think it's an interesting choice there. Also in the trailer, we see Fallon, again, like unquestionably her. It is not a Fallon-looking Sylvari. It is Fallon. I think there is some ambiguity as to what side she is fighting on in that image when it takes place, and that is something that we will like gain clarity on going forward. Um, Again, more images of Destiny's Edge and them possibly experiencing some sort of problem. We see Ritlock though, so right now Ritlock is in the miss. Why do we see Ritlock in the trailer? And that was one of the questions that players were kind of asking after seeing the trailer. And of course, as I mentioned, when the trailer initially came out, there was a lot of excitement. People were really, really excited. It was interesting because when Guild Wars 2 first came out, when they were doing the Living World thing, they did say there will never be an expansion. That's not our model. We're doing the Living World thing instead. And then we got an expansion, right? So there was maybe for a few folks a little bit of conflict, myself included. I was like, I guess we're not going to be keeping our word as a studio. And of course, we now know that to be very much like ArenaNet is really bad about that. They're not the worst studio in the world. I don't think that they're like unethical to the extreme or anything. They have their little moments, but one thing that they're horrendous about is actually making a plan and sticking to it. And to the community, that looks like dishonesty or deception, or that they can't keep promises. And so the release of Heart of Thorns, while it was good for the game, was one of many, many times over the years when they failed to adhere to any real plan, and it felt disingenuous to the community. What else was there in that whole? There was probably a couple other things in the trailer that I missed while everything was going on. I do want to note, and probably I'll talk about this a little bit more as we're entering Heart of Thorns. Heart of Thorns gave them an extraordinary opportunity, and we see it even in the trailer, right? Where we see Ritlock say that you can't trust Sylvari, and then we say Canuck say we're not all, slaves to Mordermoth or whatever it is he says. And they had extraordinary storytelling opportunity there, right? I've often compared that to like Sylvari. Now, I've often compared it to like 1930s Germany. But if you don't want to go down that road, that's fine. At a minimum, you have the Sylvari in a position to be like a kind of persecuted population because of their ties to Mordermoth. And we'll get little tiny bits of that in Heart of Thorns, and we'll see it as we play through Heart of Thorns. But I will kind of give the spoiler now that ArenaNet, whether you think it's cowardice, and I do, or whether you just think that they were making the wise business decision, they stayed away from most all of that. They did not want to deal with the question of Sylvari being persecuted to the extreme. They just kind of leave it a question on people's lips, like, oh, Sylvari might be all bad. But we don't really see. There's one event in Verdant Brink, and maybe we'll take the time to try and see that event when we're doing our Heart of Thorns playthrough. But by and large, they don't really play with that, even though we see it in the trailer, and thus would be right to expect it. Unfortunately, we're not going to get it. So we have wrapped up Season 2, and we are ready to go into the jungle and find out. Right, we want to take the fight to Mordermoth, but how can we? Because we have some pretty serious. One, we still don't have the egg, so we have two lines of effort right now. Mordermoth, especially with the packed fleet now decimated, and then the egg and Caithe, and she ran off on us again. Again, clearly adversarial. Like, she is not a good guy, and I can't ever accept her as such because she was written like it's too much. There is another bad guy that they give a redemption arc for that I have a much easier time with than Caithe. I'm willing to accept that one. I'm not willing to accept Caithe. But that's going to be way, way, way later. Caithe is garbage. Absolute garbage. But she done ran off with the egg, and so those are our two lines of effort. And so when we pick it up next time, we will be diving into Heart of Thorns, which I am very excited about. I think Heart of Thorns has a lot of strengths. There was a huge content gap while we were waiting on Heart of Thorns, but I think of the 3 expansions they've released, it has held up the best over time. If you ask me today, hey, ArenaNet's going to take back 2 of the expansions, you only get one of them. What do you want? I would choose Heart of Thorns. I would choose it over Path of Fire. I would choose it over End of Dragons. And it's not even close, to be honest. Not even close. Even if you include the masteries, I will take Lighting over Mounts. So very excited to get into Heart of Thorns, and we will start on that tomorrow, and look forward to seeing you there. So thank you for hanging out with me.